Spotlight.
Greed is good.
Always be closing.
It's strictly business.
Welcome to LA Business Spotlight. I'm Joel Metzger. We have in the studio today Gina Hendrix, who has founded a company called Models and Mutts. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Tell us about Models and Mutts.
Well, Models and Mutts is an organization of top fashion models and other beautiful women who come out to raise money and awareness for different animal rescues. So each month I choose a model. I usually ask her if she has a particular rescue that she wants to represent for that month. If she does, great. If not, I make a few suggestions. And then I approach the rescue and let them know we're going to be representing them for the month of whatever it is. And then we spend that month, we do a sexy photo shoot with the model and the dog featured on our website. Then we'll do a fundraiser and a pet adoption for that rescue for that month.
And models only, not actresses?
Usually it's primarily models. I mean, my goal with Models and Mutts is to really brand this at the same level of models that you think of for Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue or Victoria's Secret. So I think it's important for the branding to keep it consistent and just work with high caliber models.
Models with agencies? Or...
Usually they're with some of the top agencies in town. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of it because, see, when I choose a model and we're going to have whether it's pet adoption or a fundraiser, I really rely on the models to tap into their resource of other models to get them to come out and support them. So a lot of times the agencies will send out a memo to the girls who are with the agency, and then all those girls will come out, whether it's the fundraiser and all the models come out or the pet adoption and all the models come out. And then, you know, the draw is certainly they then tweet, Instagram, Facebook, and tell all their fans and followers they can come out and meet the girls, you know, they can meet the models, and hopefully take home a dog.
So social media is huge.
Social media is huge. And these girls have huge Instagram followings, like 20,000 followers and more.
Well, how did you get started? What gave you the idea? Or
You know, I have a weekly radio show called Beyond Beautiful. And on the show, I interview beautiful, smart, interesting women. A lot of times it's models. And we talk about everything, love, dating, you know, food, health, fashion, and animals, usually. And so I found myself talking to them each week. Usually we end up talking about animals, and we shared this passion for wanting to help animals. But I didn't want to start anything by myself, and I'm good at ideas. So I just thought Models and Mutts. Let's put these models to bigger use than just being gorgeous and being models, right? So anyway, and the girls love it. They feel like, because I think a lot of the girls wanted to help and they love animals, but they didn't know how to help.
Right.
And now this is an easy way for them to help. We're not actually rescuing any animals because that's an incredibly time-consuming process, and there's enough people doing that. So what we do is we do what we can, which is we get in, we get out. We get in, we raise money for that particular rescue, and we feature that dog for adoption. We raise money for them, and then we move on, and we're able to help a lot of different rescue organizations that way.
Right, and it's not just that dog. Obviously, the rescue gets a huge amount of exposure.
Absolutely.
So people might be more likely to check them out.
Right.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, but what about money? How do you keep going? Is it a nonprofit or not a nonprofit?
It's not a nonprofit, and it's not a for-profit. It's kind of a hobby. It was a hobby that just sort of was a fun project to do, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own. Because, I mean, amazing photographers are now contacting me. A lot of cool resources are contacting me wanting to be a part of our events and things that we do with Models and Mutts. I'm going to be featured on a major television show in January, featuring Models and Mutts. So, you know, right now I'm just doing what I can, and I actually just pay for what needs to be paid for, sort of out of my own pocket. Sometimes, though, if we do fundraisers and it's kind of a larger fundraiser, I'll take a tiny bit off the top only to recoup my expenses.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we're going to take a break now, and we'll be right back with Gina Hendrix.
Thank you.
LA Business Spotlight is brought to you by Icebox Logic, makers of fine handcrafted audio and video. Go to iceboxlogic.net to see examples. Your company needs to communicate.
And we're back with Gina Hendrix of Models and Mutts. So let's talk about some success stories. Sure, the exposure is just huge. It's huge for
Oh, yeah.
everybody.
It's great.
Because it spirals out, because the models have followings.
Sure.
The photographers have followings, a lot of them, and they're all posting like crazy.
And it's not, and even though I feature one model, it's all the other models. It's like a collective group I've kind of built now, a team of models who will then support whichever model is the featured model and tweet and do everything the same way, as if it were their own campaign.
Right, because everybody's on the same team.
Yeah, we're all on the same team.
That's wonderful. Any crazy stories from the shoots?
I will say, it can be a challenge. I've had a deaf and blind dog before, and the woman, I adore the woman who brought her. We've become friends now, but she wasn't thinking, and she brought her, and she hadn't bathed her, and like the model was holding her and just touching her, and the model's hand was like, dirty, like, and I don't mean dirty, I mean dirty.
Yeah.
And I have a high tolerance, but we were all like, and then the woman was like, I feel bad, I meant to wash her. We're like, oh yeah, we wish you had.
Because these models are not wearing much.
No, they're not wearing
so
much.
They're right up against the dog.
Totally, exactly, true.
Yeah.
But you never know. You just never know how the dog's going to be in front of the camera until you get them there.
Right.
Really, and so you just never know.
Don't you give your models they get to sort of suggest what breed they want?
Yes,
okay.
They do. But again, with the individual dog, until it shows up, you don't know. I mean, we know to some degree. We've chosen dogs who the rescue groups say it's going to be a sweet dog, it's going to be mellow, da-da-da. But then, they've never probably done a professional photo shoot with the dog either.
Right.
So there's strobes sometimes involved, lights, and sometimes that freaks them out. Mm. But then some dogs are just completely regal and fabulous, and you get it. And this is kind of an interesting observation. But the best dogs that, in terms of just being like posers, if you will, great models, the Greyhound we used, the German Shepherd we used, and the Great Dane we used. Mm. So. And then the pit mixes, and they're not as great all the time. Mm-hmm. They're a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, because I wouldn't use the word unpredictable because that's not right. They're a little bit not at ease. Yeah. They're not as at ease.
Well, like you said, with strobes and this big white seamless and 5 or 6 people standing around, it's a lot for them because they don't know what's going on.
And I think too, you know what? I think that chances are, and I haven't thought about this before, but I think chances are with like purebreds that they've probably consistently had one home for a long time, right, and then for whatever reason have been given up. Although the Greyhound was a racer, so that was a unique situation, but the dog was a fabulous model. But and then with like pit mixes and more mutt type dogs, I have a feeling that they get shuffled around a lot.
Right.
Right. So that would make them a little bit more
wary.
Uneasy. Yeah, sure. Of course.
Sure. Well, you're really doing great work. It's a great business model that you have, and I just know that these rescues are getting so much great exposure from this, and it's going to get more and more. It's going to compound.
Thank you.
Especially with your upcoming TV appearance. We can't wait to find out what that's
about. And the models just love helping the animals.
Yeah.
And it's something that they can be proud of.
That's great. Well, if anyone out there is a modeling agency or a photographer who wants to help or anyone who wants to volunteer, how can they reach you?
I can always use volunteers. They can email me at info@models, and then the letter N, modelsandmutts.com.
Fantastic. Gina Hendrix, thank you so much for coming to LA Business Spotlight.
Thank you. It was fun.
You've been listening to LA Business Spotlight. If you have a company or service and you'd like to appear on the show, send an email to info@iceboxlogic.net.